Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to, this is basically going to be kind of a combination, day 3 of the online seminar, plus we're going to be taking active part in our live trading room. So basically, for those of you that weren't in the seminar this weekend, Hubert and I are going to be discussing a lot of the terminology and a lot of the play setups based on what we talked about this weekend. For the most part, for questions and stuff like that, you guys just kind of kick back and relax and watch what we're doing. For most of the questions and things like that, we're just going to limit that to the seminar participants, especially here for the first couple of hours. If you guys have any questions on entries or anything like that, feel free to. Terrence is in the room too. Feel free to ask him. Otherwise, we're basically just going to be focusing on a continuation of the 2-day seminar. For this morning so far, we've got a very, very small gap up. And what I want to do real quick is flip over here and take a look at the pre-market volume, which I have not done yet. And I like to look at the pre-market volume every day about 5 minutes before the open. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to go flip over to my radar screen. And you can see that what I'm going to do is just take the list of single stock futures that are basically sorted on a net change basis, and I'm just going to look at their volume for today. And so I'm going through here, and I see Best Buy 400 shares, Lowe's 33,000 shares. Now remember, we got those 4 that we're always looking at. Okay, here's KLAC 5,700 shares.
Select your maps.
It's selected automatically.
Oh, okay.
If it's not going on, but it'll be going on the recording.
Oh, okay.
So you can see here that KLAC has got 5,700 shares traded, so that's very light. You guys remember that? Do you guys remember what are the thresholds that we're looking for KLAC for pre-market volume?
Yep.
Right. So that's low volume. What is mid-range volume? 30 to 80, great. And then what's high volume? Yeah, pretty much over 80. Okay, good. So you guys got the hang of that. So as we go through here, you can see that, okay, KLAC has low volume, but I also like to go, look, there's Novellus. Novellus, 1,800 shares, very low volume. Xilinx trading nothing. Broadcom, 7,000 shares. Maxim, 5,100 shares. So as you can see, just kind of scrolling through this, this is a very, very low volume day pre-market. Now, unfortunately, we also don't have a gap to play. Now, if we had a gap of, say, 20 points in the Dow, whether it was up or down, it doesn't matter, I would be playing at full size right at the open. But today, you can see that we don't have any gap. Now, how do we know that we don't have any gap? I want to go back over here to these charts. We've got the mini-size Dow, and we've got the S&Ps. And as you can see here, basically, we're 5 minutes before the open, we're down 1 point on the, now 2 points on the mini-size Dow futures, and we're flat on the S&Ps. So there's no gap to play. So the main thing, the main importance that we're looking for in the morning is we're looking at what's happening in terms of the gaps, and that's going to set the rest of our trading day. All right, today the first trade of the day that we normally do, the gap, is not happening. What I found is basically 4 days out of 5, there's at least some gap that you can play, but this is just a very small gap, and there's no play that you can set up off of it. So what that means now is when the market opens, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be flipping over to the radar screen, which is right here. And we're going to be looking at, we're going to watch the trend and see where that opens up. We're going to watch the trend Q. We're going to see where that opens up. We're going to see where the put call opens up. We're going to watch these sectors over here and see which sectors are green, which sectors are red. And then you can see here we're going to be watching the ticks and the ticky. And we've got the ticks set up with all of our sound alerts. By the way, today, if you hear, let's go through and review these sounds because you guys are going to be hearing these throughout the day. If you guys, when we get up to plus 600 ticks, you're going to hear Homer Simpson. Can you guys hear that okay? All right, market's open.
5X.
570, 5F80, 5F80, 570,
All right, we're going to turn on the pit noise here, and we're going to settle in here for the next 10 or 15 minutes and see how the markets open up.
570, 6 even, 586 even.
I'm just doing sound checks here on this.
6 even. 586 even. $586 even. $586 even. $586 even. $586 even. $576 even. $586 even. $586 even.
Okay, we're just letting all the sectors open, letting the trends and trend queue open. You need when you don't have a gap to play, you got to let the markets. You got to give the markets about 10 minutes just to open up and settle in.
5F80, 5F70. $5F70. 5F16, 576 even. 5F80, 5F80. 5F80. 5F is also 5F80. After Maryland 20, locals take them out. Abs are trade. 5F70. 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 570 even. 576 even. 586 even. 586 even. 586.20. 16.20. 16.20. 620 and a half.
Okay, I'm watching the ticks. They're slowly pushing higher here. We're going to get our. Looks like we're going to get our first extreme reading here after the first 5 minutes in the plus 600 territory. Remember, anything in between plus 400 or minus 400 is just noise, and then we start getting interested when it gets to plus 600 or minus 600. If you look at all the sectors here, I like to see what are the best sectors of the day. Okay, so you got semis as the best sector of the day, up almost 1%. And then as we scroll down to the bottom of the list, we see that almost every sector today is green. You've got oil and healthcare near the lows of the day. So almost every sector is green today. You got the trend at 0.78, trend Q 0.43. We got some buying pressure in the markets. You can hear Homer Simpson there. We're getting our first extreme tick reading of the day at plus 600.
6F80. 6F80, 6F80. 6F70.
1 minute squeeze, okay. I'm going to flip back to here. Now in these charts here, these are the two main scalping charts that we look at during the day. We got the mini size Dow on the left. So you got the YM here. It's the mini size Dow. And then you got the ES here, which is the mini S&Ps. And you can see we've got all the pivot levels here. Here's the daily pivot, central pivot, daily pivot. Now remember what we talked about on the central pivots. Whenever the market opens up, it has a very high probability of coming down to test this pivot level, okay? So this is my first potential entry of the day. When the markets fall to these pivot levels, I'd be a buyer. So right now, the first play of the day, the mini size Dow's at 98.32, flat on the day. If it can just come down a couple of points here, I will take that trade. put the ticks at 800. Ticks at 800. So you can hear that audio alert there. Ticks are at 800.
6.580.
So for those of you guys now, do you guys know what? So if I'm looking to buy the mini size Dow on a pullback to the daily pivot, what's my entry going to be?
$6.80.
Yeah.
6.80.
What you can do on this is that you got the pivot. I just take the round number.
6.70.
So even though it says 9818.67, just take the 9818, add 3.
6.70.
So that gives you 9821 as your entry. So if it looks like we're going to start pulling back, I'm going to put in a bid to buy at 9821.
6.80.
Okay. Now, if you hear that song in the background, that's the audio alert that we're at plus 800 ticks.
660 minute 80.
Can I hear you? You think?
6.70. 6.70 minute 90.
S&P is testing the Globex highs here around 1066.
All right, I'm placing a live order here. I'm going to bid 9821 on the YM. 9821 on the YM.
6.80. $6.80. 6.70.
Okay, so when you guys see Terrence there posting bids and stuff like that, Terrence is sitting right next to me and he's helping with the trades, and so anything that he's posting is basically what we're doing. So be sure to pay attention to what Terrence is posting if you've got questions on the trade setups.
67 even aside. 6.80.
Yeah, this is a long bid. We're going long, not short.
6.30. 6.70. 6.70. 6.30 and a half. 6.20 and a half.
Okay, market's starting to pull back a little bit. We'll see if we can get filled on this pullback. No, it's quiet. So can you read that? Can you read that like I'm going long here? I'll get going long.
6.30 and a half.
So now it's just a patience game. When we start setting up trades like this, we don't like to sit there and chase. We like to kind of pick our battles in advance. We're watching the squeezes starting to develop. We spent a lot of time yesterday going over squeezes, and once we get a play on that, we're going to go over that too. Okay. On the 2 minute, we're starting to get some red dots formulating. Here, we'll take a look at the 2 minutes real quick.
586, 586 even. 586 even.
Trend is rising, ticks are falling.
586 even.
Can you guys hear me in the background?
So you can see here on the S&P, we got 2 dots.
586 even.
We got 2 red dots on the 5 minutes, so it's setting up. We keep having one here on the YM that keeps firing off and going back.
620.
So the trends are rising, the ticks are falling. Nothing really going on with the markets yet.
620 and a half.
We had a little 1 minute, but it was just real quick, and it went right back into the red dots. So no trades yet for me. I'm sitting here watching the two, but so far as a setup, it looks like the market's going to go sideways today. So I'm just sitting here. We could push up and make new highs. We are testing the Globex highs on the spoos. If I can get a little follow through on the pit noise, I could go long here. Going long the Dow Mini,
Okay, Hubert's buying here at the market. I've still got my bid in at 98.21, and the markets came down to like 98.23, then reversed. And that's okay. I'm still sitting here.
7:30. 7:20 and a half.
Okay, we're at a 2 minute trying to fire off here.
20 and a half.
We had 2 red dots, and then we're trying to get a blue dot.
And a half, 7:20 and a half. 7:30, 70 and 30. 70 and 30. 70 and 30. 7:20 and a half. 70.
The markets are just pushing back up to 800 ticks.
7:30 and 70. 70.
Markets are pretty positive. They're not really pushing up very hard, but internals are very positive here.
70.
All right, now, so the markets have been open for 15 minutes. Let's go back over to the radar screen, see how we're doing.
70.
So here's some of the key points that we're looking at. First off, where's the trend? Okay, the trend's down here at 0.88. Where is it trending? Okay, we do have the 2 minute. The S&Ps are at their highs of the day here. You can see that the trend is trending lower, even from Friday into today. It's trending lower. Okay, is that bullish or bearish?
7.580. 7.580.
Okay, good. Yep, that's bullish. Same thing on the trend Q. It's near its lows. It's been pushing lower, especially from Friday. Now, let's start looking at the put call. The put call's at 0.91. We don't really get an accurate reading on the put call until 10 o'clock in the morning, and the reason for that is that we're waiting.
Selling half.
Okay, Hubert's cutting off half his position here.
7.70.
So he scalped in. What was your fill on that?
38 and 43.
Okay, so Hubert scalped in at 98.38 and out of the first half at 98.43. I've still got a bid in at 98.21 on the pivot play. So one thing that's pretty important here, really important here is that, you know, the market, we're looking at the market internals here, and everything's pointing bullish, right? So on the pivot plays, guess what? I'm not going to focus on any short plays unless the market starts showing signs that it wants to roll over. And right now, everything that we're looking at is bullish. So great, I'm going to focus on long plays. So I'm going to focus on buying pullbacks to pivots.
Pit sound is increasing.
I'm going to focus on buying long squeezes.
1,000 ticks, selling a quarter.
Okay, that was the audio alert that we just hit 1,000 ticks. We just hit 1,000 ticks.
879 even. New highs again. 879 even.
Stop at break even -3.
879 even. 889 even. And 9 even Skywalking is supposed to 9 even 20. 920 but 920 but and a half.
Okay, guys, so does that make sense? I'm looking at the radar screen here. We've got all the ticks. The ticks, we have not had a negative reading yet today. We're spending a lot of quality time here. Plus 1,200 ticks.
You did have a 2-minute fire off, followed by pit noise. You also had a 1-minute fire off and an 89-minute tick chart fire off. So ticks are at plus 1200. You need to be out of at least 3/4 of your position. Yeah, I did just 2 seconds ago. What do you got, man?
Yeah, it's a little slow over here.
They're coming. Well, yeah, 12:08 right now. I'm still long in 3/4. I still have a quarter of my position, so I'm not doing a tick fade.
Remember, on the tick fades, I don't do any tick fades until starting at 10 o'clock, so between 10 and 3:30. But good question. And the reason is just the first half hour and the last half hour is usually dominated by program stuff, so I just like to let that play out.
Now we watch the price actions as ticks come off of 1200. They're at 1075, and the market's actually going higher. That's a bullish sign. It's a bullish sign. It's gradually getting a little bit louder. Nothing major though, but they are picking up a little bit. There's just a tad. I'm going to exit on loud pit noise. Spoos, new highs. Spoos, new highs. Alright, going flat to YM.
What was your X on the last part?
67.
Okay, he was getting out at 67.
Half 80.
So plus 30 points on that last quarter.
Half 80.
I have not done a trade yet today. Missed my bid at the pivot by a couple of points. And since then, just watching the market go higher. But that's okay. I just wait for the next setup.
70, but 71 even. 71 even. Oh, 71 even. Oh, half 1 even. Oh, half 80. Oh, half 80. Oh, half 80. Oh, half 80. Even and a half. Oh, 30 minutes and a half.
Hey, Hubert, can you go through that trade setup again?
Oh, 20 minutes and a half.
Yeah.
Okay, so through the trade setup, I noticed that we had a 1-minute squeeze fire off. I was waiting a little bit for that. About the same time that I got long, we had a 2-minute fire off. The trend, the NYSE trend was dropping, and the ticks were ramping up to the upside. Had a confirmation as the S&P, the SPOOs went and made new highs. Based on that, the pit noise started getting a little bit louder. I entered long at 98.38. Then I peeled off half at 98.43. Then I peeled off a quarter at 98.49. And then my last quarter I exited at 98.67 for a total of entry from the exit's like 29 points, but since I had multiple contracts, it was like 45-point trade. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah, very nice trade. So my first trade of the day is basically I put in my my limit order to bid here at 98.21. We missed it by about 2 points, and then once we took off, I just canceled. I have canceled the bid, by the way. Now I'm just waiting for the next setup. Funny, Will. Could have called it Kitty.
Oh, half 80. Oh, half 80. Oh, 30 and a half. Oh, 20 and a half. Oh, 30 and a half. Oh, 20 and 40.
Clack's acting really good. It's on its highs. Oh, never mind. Hold on. I got the wrong chart up. Hold on here. I was looking at a 5-minute chart of the Dow. I gotta reformat my Clack chart here real quick. Scratch that clack comment. That's okay. I was looking at the 5-minute Dow reading here. The Dow looks like it's ramping up to go for another run here. The ticks are starting to perk up a little bit.
We're going to post the chart back up here in a second. We just had to restart TradeStation.
Does anybody have any questions?
30.5. Oh, 30 minutes 70. Oh, yeah, 70.
So we're approaching 10 o'clock. Always like, especially on Monday, the first half hour of trade, I like to just kind of let it settle in. Tried to bid there a little bit at the beginning of the day, missed it. So now I'm just kind of waiting and setting up for the next trade. So we'll start going through the radar screen again here just to kind of see how we're setting up.
Oh, half 80. Oh, half 70. Oh, half 70. Oh, 60 minute 80. Oh, 71 even. Oh, 81 even. Oh, 81 even. Oh, 80 bid, Sibo. 81 even. Oh, 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 81 even. One even bid, Sibo. 1 even 20. Even bid also now. 1 even 20. 1 even 20. 120 bid. 120 bid and a half. 120 bid and a half. 130 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 bid and 70. 1 half bid. 1 half 70. 1 half 70. 1 half 80. 1 half 80. 1 half 80. 1 half 80. 1 half 70. On the highs. 1 half 70. 1 half 70. 130 bid and a half. 1 even a half. 1 even 20.
Okay, just kind of letting the market settle in here for the next half into 10 o'clock.
1 even 20. 1 even 20.
Got both the Dow and the S&P just kind of flirting with their highs here.
1 even 20. 120 bid. 120 bid and a half. 120 bid and a half. 130 bid and a half. 130 bid and a half. 130 bid and a half. 120 bid and a half. 120 bid and a half. 120 bid and a half. 110 bid and 30. 1 even 30. 1 even 20. 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 1 even 20.
a little bit. I'll probably watch what you're doing. Watch over there too.
20 or 20, 81, 20. 120, but 120 minute and a half.
Okay, yeah, you can see here the Dow is right here at the Dow's right here at a monthly pivot as well as a midpoint.
120 minute and a half, 130 minute and a half.
And the
130 minute and a half.
So what I want to do is now I see where the price action is. I'll go back to the radar screen. I always look at the radar screen before all of my trading decisions. And what's nice, of course, if you've got multiple monitors, then you can watch these both at the same time. What are the key points that stand out here, okay? Remember yesterday we were talking about the trend. If the trend is trending lower, that's bullish. Well, look at this trend. The trend's trending lower, and it's at its lows of the day right there. The trend Q, a little more. It's always a little more volatile, but it's near its lows of the day. But the NYSE is very bullish. The ticks, we've already had 2 extreme tick readings this morning, okay? We have not spent any time down here on the negative side of the ticks, all right? Look at the sectors. On the sectors, we're pretty much all green. You've got biotech, housing, retail, networking, semis. Pretty much everybody's participating. There are no red sectors today. I want to check and see where banks are. Banks are down here. They're not leading the way, so that's okay. And brokers, they're not leading the way, but they're doing fine too. The best sectors of the day are up over 1%. And that's the key on the sectors. You want to see stuff that's up over 1% or down over 1%, or it really doesn't matter. Again, you can see on the ticks here, the ticks have pulled back, but price action isn't really pulling back. The ticky here did have 1 extreme reading early this morning for a buy program. So now I look at my radar screen and I say, all right, everything here looks bullish. So I'm not too crazy about the short side. I want to focus on buying the next pullback. All right, so now I'm going to go back to my charts. I want to sit here and see if we can get some pullback action. So because I'm not interested in the short side, we're getting a scalper sell right here. Oh, thanks. When we get a scalper sell right here, because the market's rolling over, I'm not going to take it. And the reason I'm not going to take it is because everything on the radar screen is bullish. Okay, and we've got a pivot high in place here on the Dow. Oh, that's great. I'm not going to take the short setup, but what I'm going to do now is I see that we've got a potential pullback setting up, and that could get me positioned for the next buy. So what are the next buy levels? Well, on the pivots, on the S&P, you've got R1 here at 1069.25, basically. And on the Dow, you've got R1 at 98.61, which is pretty low there. And then the weekly pivot is a nice strong pivot at 98.52. So if we can get a pullback back to this weekly pivot, I'd be a buyer. All right, so that's what I'm looking at right now. And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and place a bid at weekly pivot plus 3, so 98.55.
Mid-mile cycle up and a half, or 30 minute and a half. Or 30 minute and a half.
Okay, so I just set up my next play. I got a bid in at weekly pivot plus 3 at 98.55, so I'm waiting for a pullback.
30 minute and a half, 30 minute and a half. Oh, 30 minute and a half.
Market's pretty strong today, so it's one of those things where we may have to get a little bit more aggressive. Jim, that's a good question. The main reason for that is I'm sitting here looking at, okay, we just went into a scalper sell, right? And this daily level is right here. That's really close. And on the S&Ps, the daily R1 level is still pretty far below. So I'm looking for the S&Ps to fall to their daily R1, which would basically push the Dow through theirs. So it's just kind of a judgment call, really. I mean, you can sit there and what I found, if there's 2 pivots really close together like that, I like to use the one that's on the bottom because it offers stronger support. But what can happen is if on days when the market's really, really strong, you miss a couple of entries. And so what we do is we find out, like in the first couple of trades, if the market's going to be stronger, then we may start setting up buy stops through pivot levels.
Oh, 20-minute 40.
Yep, volume is light. One thing to be careful of with Jordan on volume is that, yeah, you do want big volume on breakout days and key breakdown days, but just because it's light volume doesn't mean the market can't move. So, I mean, we could, we've fallen very low over the last couple of weeks, and so we could get a dead cat bounce on no volume and rally 200 points easily in the Dow. So volume is important for a lasting move, but it's not important for a retracement move. Larry, for the 144 tick chart, I found that basically in using the 144 tick, the 233 tick chart on the YM was a little slower than on the S&Ps. So when I cut it in half to 144, it just reacted more quickly with the scalper buys and scalper sells.
Oh, here, I'll put the... See if you can hear it now.
Okay, let's look at the squeezes real quick. Now you can see here the play that Hubert took earlier today, right near the open. Look at this. We had the one red dot, then we had a blue dot, green histogram. So what that is, you guys remember, that's a long squeeze. You basically just get in at the market. Hubert got in here at 98.38, and he basically rode the market all the way up, taking off pieces here at 98.44, up in here, and then the last quarter up at 98.66. And so that was a nice squeeze play that he jumped on this morning. And you can see here that there was a nice long squeeze in the S&Ps as well. You got the two red dots here. You got the blue dot, the green histogram. So that's a long signal. Long at this level. Boom, you just stay in as long as the histogram is making higher highs. Once it starts to fizzle out, you exit the trade.
Oh, half 80. Oh, half 70, oh, half 70.
All right, so right now I'm watching, the markets, anytime the markets have a nice move, they need to pause and relax. So I'm watching to see if this market can hold this R1 level.
Oh, half on 100. JP Morgan.
This R1 level here.
Oh, half on 100.
On the mini-sized Dow. So if they can't, then I'll look for my bid getting hit. Now here's what I'm looking at doing here. I've got a bid in, and this is how you use the scalper buys and sells. I've got a bid in at 98.52 plus 3, right? That's the weekly pivot. Now, for some reason, we get a scalper buy before I get to that level, then I'll just go in and go at the market. That's when I'll take a scalper buy. So I've got a specific bid in here. I'm waiting for a pullback. If I can't get the pullback, then I'm just going to go in on my next scalper buy. And the scalper buy I'm going to take is going to be over here. So I'll be watching for these levels to see if they fill in or not for a scalper buy.
20. 1 30. 1 30. 20.
I'm just checking prices. Markets just aren't pulling back at all.
1 20. 1 30.
Bless you. Bless you twice.
1 30. 1 30. 1 30. 120 and a half. 1 30. 1 30. 120 mid Morgan. 120 and a half.
Ticks are pushing back higher.
$120 and a half.
Okay, scalper buy, going long the Dow, going long the Dow at market.
1 half at 170. 170, 180 mid fever, 182 even. 170 mid 90. 180 F80, 1 F80.
Okay, we got a 2-minute squeeze long firing off too. So we got a long. I'm in at 82. In at 82.
2 at 20. 2:20 and a half. New highs again. 3 at 30. 3 at 30.
New highs on the spoon.
3 at 30. 3 at 30. 3 at 30.
Okay, that's all the tickies are firing off, the ticks are firing off. So I don't even have to look at the tickies or the ticks, and I know that the market is just going nuts to the upside. All right. Now my first half is plus 10 points, so sell limit at 92.
273.
Okay, and that's basically.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's all slow now, dude.
Okay, that's plus 1,200 ticks. Haven't heard that one in a while.
Trade station's lagging hard. That's all right. That's all right. I got it in the background. In the pit, it's 10,074, so prices haven't moved a whole lot.
It's hilarious when all these things start firing off at once. This is great, though, because I can be on the phone or down the hall, and I start hearing all this stuff, and I know the market's going nuts. All right, so we're out plus 10 on the first half, out plus 10 on the first half.
Spoo's getting ready to make new highs. That is back up. 89.95 right now is where it's trading.
The second target's open. First target's hit, second target's open. So what I'm doing to this play, guys, is when I get into a play like this, I got out of the first half at plus 10. Now the second half, I've got it as an open target, but I'm just going to look at the chart here and say, all right, where's a good target for this? Get rid of that.
Market pressing up, making new highs here on the Spoos, making new highs on the Dow, trading at 99.04 right now. Pit's making a lot of noise.
Back to 1,200 ticks.
A couple of pit guys just went short on that last little push higher there.
All right, did you hear that? So the pit guys are going short on that last move higher, so I'm going to sell the rest here. Selling the rest here.
It looks like it's going to press higher, man. You know what?
Yeah, it's cruising pretty good. Okay, we're out of the second half at 99.02. 99.02. So plus 20 on the second half.
Very nice, very nice.
Okay, flat.
Thanks, guys. All right, so let's see if we can find another. Market's going higher right here. It's pressing higher. If you are a scalper, I mean, you can go with it, but just be fast.
So, yeah, now we're just waiting for the next setup. I mean, the market's just kind of running away here. So you can see on this first trade, basically got in here when we busted through these pivot levels at 98.82. Took off the first half here at plus 10, and then the second half here is at plus 20. All right, so that's one trade there.
SPOO's new highs, S&P new highs. What the hell is Merrill doing? Merrill's on crack today. They've been shortening it the whole way up. That makes no sense at all.
So now let's go back and look at the radar screen. Even though we're extended, remember part of trading is being on the right side of the market, okay? And no, it's just part of the what you guys, part of what the experience in the trading room like that is just you'll see like you can see like basically what other traders and stuff like that are doing in terms of posting trades and stuff like that. So I want to show you guys here is remember the whole on Saturday what we were talking about with internal indicators. Okay, if you guys didn't have this radar screen here watching all this stuff, it would be very easy to look at this market and go, oh gosh, let's short it. It's going higher. We got to short it. But by looking at the radar screen here, it's telling you that hey, there's no reason to short this in the world. So we're just going to focus on long opportunities. Okay, and let's review this real quick. Can you turn down the pit noise real quick? Oh, I guess you're not. All right, so let's do a quick review here of where we are so far today. The markets have been open for 45 minutes. And what I like to do here is just kind of do a process check of what we're doing. Can you guys hear me okay? Because the volume seems kind of stuck. Okay. Got it. All right, so what I'm going to do, let's just do a quick review here, and then if you guys have any questions, let me know. So I want to review here is the most important thing that we talked about on Saturday, remember, was the internal indicators. So if you look here on this radar screen, what have we been looking at today? We've been watching the trend, right? The trend started off low, but it's moving lower. All right, we watched the trend Q. It started off low. The trend Q is a little more spiky, but it's low. It's at 0.49. That's a very low reading. But the trend is right near its lows of the day. Of these two, which one's more important? Well, the trend has more weight. So if the trend's moving lower and the trend Q is going sideways, that's bullish. The trend has the most weight. All right. Now, what's the put call doing? If the put call was at 0.50 here, that would be a red flag, but it's not. It's at 0.92, which is close to that extreme level of 1.0. Okay. So looking at the trend, that's bullish. Trend Q, that's bullish. Now we're going to the next piece of the puzzle, the put call. That's bullish, right? Now let's look at the ticks. Look at the ticks. We have not had one negative reading today. And in fact, we've had extreme readings. An extreme reading is over 600, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We've had like 12 readings over 600, and we've spent like 50% of the time this morning over 600. And not only that, we've gone up to 1,000 and 1,200. All right, so now why didn't we do a tick fade here when we first got to 1,000 or 1,200? Well, that was before 10 o'clock, so we don't do tick fades after that. And also remember when we talked about tick fades, we want to do those on days when the market is more mixed. When you've got things like this where everything is bullish, then you just focus on the long side. So the most important thing you can remember from looking at this right now today is that when you see a radar screen like this, you don't focus on the short setups. When you get a scalper sell, when you rally into a pivot level, when you get a short squeeze, you just ignore it. Okay, that's going to save you more anguish and more grief than any other tip that we can give you during this whole seminar. It's just knowing intraday which trades to focus on. So right now, looking at this, I know that there's no reason. Look at all the sectors. Every sector is green, and the ticky is spending most of its time up here in the positive range.
That's what the put call is.
Yeah, we just looked at the put call.
You already did?
Yep. So based on this, now you can do short trades, and you can if you want to do a real fast scalp, but you're basically putting the odds against you. So today, until this picture changes, I'm just going to focus on long trades. And if the market's pulling back, that's great. I'm going to focus on buying pullbacks. Now later today, this may change, and the market internals get worse. What would be my heads up that the markets have changed? If the put call starts to rally and gets back above 0.80 or 1, okay, that would be a red flag that the market's turning over. Same thing with the trend Q if that went higher. If the put call started falling, that would be a red flag. If we get a tick reading at minus 600, that's a red flag. If we start getting some of these sectors here, all these sectors are green right now. If the sector's turned in red, that's a red flag. And that shows you basically how the market's doing internally like that. All right? Do you guys all understand that? Do you have any questions on the radar screen and how we use it? Cool. Because this is the most important stuff. All the stuff that we teach. I mean, basically, it's based off this radar screen right here. So if you guys can understand how to read this radar screen, you're going to be in ahead of 90% of all the other traders out there. Because you look at this radar screen, it's going to tell you, hey, you know what? Just focus on long trades today, and you're just going to be able to focus on the trades with the highest probability of winning. Yeah, Patricia, we are recording this. This will be on the archive. Yeah, let me switch back to... Do you guys have any question on any of these others? Let's look at the squeeze, the 2-minute squeeze here. Okay, we reviewed this already this morning. This is the trade that Hubert took. Yeah, we'll go back and talk about the put call. You remember we got the red dot this morning, and then the blue dot, and then a green histogram. That's a long squeeze. Okay, and you stay in it as long as the histograms are moving higher. This is the first trade that Hubert took, and he caught a nice move there in the Dow. On the 5-minute squeezes, we don't have anything developing, so we're just kind of waiting to see if we're going to get that to develop. If we go over to the Euro here real quick, and we'll look at this a little bit later today, but you can see on the Euro, we had a box here setting up earlier this morning, but right now we really don't have any box plays setting up. So I like to glance at the Euro and just kind of see what's going on there. And then if we look at the bonds, you remember we're not going to do anything with bonds until noon, but I always like to keep an eye on them and see what they're doing. Okay, and right now they're pretty quiet. Now let's go back to these first charts. You can see here this morning, right now we've got a scalper sell on the S&Ps. Remember, we got the white pivot, and now we've got the red dots. That's a confirmed sell signal in the S&Ps. But guess what? We're ignoring that because of how bullish the radar screen is. So when you have a bullish radar screen and you see a scalper sell, you ignore it. What I'm going to look for, I'm going to take the next scalper buy. So remember, this is the scalper buy that we got, and that's why I went long the Dow. And basically, it just took us all the way up. So that's how you use that. So now, even though we've got a sell signal here, I'm ignoring it. I'm going to wait for the next scalper buy. It would be nice if we could pull back down here to daily R2, but that might be, a little wishful thinking at this point. Okay, Roger K., you had a question about the put call. Remember, on the put call, you just want to know if it's the main thing that you're looking at is first you're just looking for extreme levels. If it's over 1, okay, that's very, very bullish. That means that there's so many people out there that are buying puts that the market is going to just rise by firing off all those buy stop orders. And right now, this rally's bullish because a lot of people are buying puts into it, so that's good. If it's under 0.50, that's bearish because there's too many people buying calls, and the market's going to start falling over and going down on all those sell stops. Right now what we want to see is that if the put call can stay here right where it is, that'll be good for the rest of today. If for some reason it starts falling and it falls below like 0.60, then that's bearish. So, right now we know where the put call is right now, so we want to come back and look at it and see what it's doing later today and how it's trending. You can see, and the same thing with the trend Q. The trend Q is trending lower. The trend trending lower, and we want to see if there's any change in that.
The spoos were testing highs and so on.
Okay. Now look at the ticks here. The ticks drifted down, and now they're shooting back up again. So let's go back and look at the charts, and let's put up. All right. We got a scalper buy in place, so it looks like I may be going long here anyway. Okay, going along the Dow at the market, on the scalper buy.
530 minute and a half. 570.
Okay, I'm filled at 17. First target is plus 10, so first target is 99.27. I always like to get plus 10 on the first half, and then the second half I'll leave open. Now remember what I said about the pivot levels. We're almost at R3.
576 even. 586.20.
Markets are going nuts.
16.20. 620 to 620 minute and a half. 620 minute and a half.
Okay, I know that's it. Ticks and the tickies are firing up here.
16.30, 16.30, 6 half is the high, 16.30. 16.30. 16.20.
Yeah, okay.
620 and a half.
Yeah, first half, see if we can get out. Now I'm getting the one thing that's got me pausing here is that we're close to R3, so if we hit R3, I'll get out.
630 and a half. 16 and a half, 16 and 30. 16 and 20. 16 and 20. 16 and 20. 16 and 30. 16 and 20, 16 and 20. 620 to 6 half, 6 half 70. 6 half 70. 6 half 70. 630 minutes 70. 6 half 70, 6 half 80, 6 half 80. 6 half 80. The Dow's up 104 now. Nasdaq keeps up 15 and a half. 6 half 80, 6 half 70. At 60, Springer, he gets lifted 6 half 70. 6 half 70.
Yeah, we've got a lot of resistance up here at these R levels.
6 half 70.
Yeah, that's it. All right, we're out half plus 10. Out half plus 10.
630 and a half. 630 and a half.
Sorry, trade station's lagging a little bit here, but
630 and a half. 620 and a half.
there's the 27.
620 and a half.
Yeah.
610 and 30. 16 and 20.
Because we're so close to daily R3, I'm actually going to have
586.20.
let's see. Now the second half I'll usually give a little more room, but I don't want to give it too much room. All right, we're in the scalper sell. I'm cutting it loose. Sell it all. Sell it all.
576 even. 5 F80. 5 F80. 5F80. 5F70.
All right, so plus 10 on the first half, minus 2 on the second half. So net on the trade plus 8.
5F70.
All right, do you guys understand why I got in and out of that trade?
5F70.
Are there any questions on that? So once we got a scalper sell here on the S&Ps,
5F70.
I just closed out my second half of the trade. Instead of waiting for the market to fall to my stop, that's my sign that the market's turning over. I'm not shorting this market because it's too strong, but I can just wait for the next pullback and buy it. Now the way I got into this trade was about the same as we were down here around the midpoint on the S&Ps. We got the scalper buy, so I went ahead and got in long on the Dow right around here. All right, my first target was plus 10. So got up at plus 10 here. Second target was open. I was potentially looking for a test of R3. Instead, what happened? We started pulling back. We got a scalper sell, so I just got out. Instead of waiting for my 20-point stop to get hit, I got out for minus 2. So we got plus 8 on the first trade. We've had 4 trades. We've had 4 exits. We had plus 10, plus 20, plus 10, and minus 2. So net on the day, you can still eat lunch.
We can eat lunch today.
5F70.
Tixa went from plus 700 to down to like minus 9.
That's pretty good. Look at ticks new lows.
And the price action is actually holding up pretty good, so it's actually still a good sign for the market going higher, guys. All right. Clack's starting to roll over a little bit, but it's not doing anything special yet. I'm just sitting here waiting for the next squeeze opportunity. On a single, I would have cut it loose for 10. Roger. Yeah, we're right beside each other right now. You don't have to, Larry, but it'll probably help. I mean, because we don't have all of our indicators for e-signal yet, but they should be done in the very near future. And actually, the e-signal indicator actually works a little bit better than the trade station one does. It signals. Sometimes it'll get you in a trade a little bit quicker.
Ron, the reason traders are buying puts for a variety of reasons, but the main reason is that most of the people who are buying puts are people that are doing basically impulse trades. So the market's going up, they don't believe it, so they're buying puts. Basically, it's like 90% of all option traders are dead wrong. So when I see stuff like that, I just look at people who are like, oh, it's a rally, I got to buy puts. And to me, that's bullish, at least for today. You know, this market, bigger picture, is not in good shape. But for today, it helps the market. You've got a bunch of people out there who don't believe in the validity of this rally for today. And so when they short it, what happens is the market keeps pushing higher and stopping them out. And that's the reason the market's moving so fast today, is because there's so many people that aren't believing this rally, which you can tell by the put-call ratio. That also, you got to also remember that if there's people out there buying puts, they're also shorting stock, they're also shorting futures. And what's happening is as they get their position short, they're going to place buy stops at a bunch of different levels. And when you see these markets ripping higher today, it's because it's ripping through all those buy stops. What happens is once these put buyers start getting bullish, that's when this market's going to fall.
K060953. No plans to put our indicators into Neotick that I know of, unless Neotick calls and wants to offer that up. I do know that we're meeting with Realtick. When, John? This week, and they want to actually. What about? I know Realtek wants to put our indicators into Realtek. We're supposed to have a meeting with them this week sometime. How about wise trade? That's funny, Shannon. You guys have anybody else have any other questions? If you guys, I'm going to be pumping pit noise through you throughout the day. So if you have questions on pit noise and how I'm interpreting and stuff, just ask and I'll explain it to you in real time. It's real hard to give a lesson on pit noise without actually having pit noise in the room, like at the seminar. So I can't trade without it. Like, you know, if pit noise is off, I kind of feel blind. Like right now, they're just bidding around themselves. They're real quiet. Nothing major, just pulling back here a little bit. No, there are more sectors than that. That's just those sectors that John looks at. Yeah, Ron, they should, all of our methods should be available in eSignal in the near future, yes. Not really, Jammer. You can do it in the, you're talking about the premium. You can do, you can look, that's a tough trade to do. Like, you can look at cash premiums, but it's so, yeah, TradeStation 2000i, yeah, we've got them, they'll work in 2000i, that's not an issue. They all work in those, as far as I know. Cash premiums, it's a faster trade than actual, a tick extreme trade is, so, you know, it's even, I'm pretty much a micro scalper, and I can't even do that one. It's just so fast. If you turn around, you miss it. Are you talking about premium trades, Jammer? Yeah, they're kind of hard to do in the actual Dow and in the S&P just because it happens so fast. If you're not, if you're not down on the pit or just on the top of your game, you just can't. They're hard to do. As a leading indicator, no, we really don't look at them that much. To tell you the truth.
Yeah. I'm going to pause the recording for a second.
Okay.